Hey, I got Ted was he's sharing a little bit of what's going to be in his book and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And he sent me some things on it to look at and get back to him. Some of the stuff he's written, and I'll be darned if he didn't come up with two things I never knew before. One thing is that there was a cop up here in Washington State who actually, without me knowing it or my lawyer knowing it, was listening in, had the room bugged where my lawyer and I met and had all our confidential conversations and stuff.
Oh.
And the other thing is, remember that odious social worker who slept with Kelli?
Yes, he wrote me about that.
Yeah, John Johnson, the no-good bastard.
That outraged me.
Yeah, Ted, so this will get you. Ted got information that this guy who was allegedly working for my defense team and hired by my Washington defense lawyer and all this other crap, besides sleeping with Kelli while he's, working on my... What's weird? Because I was in jail, right? And
yes.
he would say, look, if you need to get a hold of me, here's my number, blah, blah, blah. But there were certain nights that he would say, I'm going to be in town, but I'm going to be someplace where I can't give you the number. You can't call me there and stuff. The bastard was at my house. The bastard was at my house. So anyway...
I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, I thought about that afterwards. I didn't put two and two together during the time, see.
Yes.
And apparently, Ted has some information that this guy went to California, while he was working on my case, went to California and met secretly with the police to find out what he needed to do to get me to incriminate myself.
What is incriminate?
And then all the hypnosis stuff happened, and all the psychodrama stuff happened. Yeah, that no-good bastard. Boy, there's all the skullduggery in my case.
Yeah.
Wait till you read the whole thing. I wrote you a letter. And I told you, what I wrote to you, hand wrote to you and stuff, and everything is just scratches the surface. Just barely scratches the surface. There's so much in my case you don't know. But when the book comes out, of course, you'll read all the rest of the stuff, and I think it'll blow your mind. I'm only going to blow minds in general and stuff, and how wrong people are about so much in my case.
Hey, you murder phoniacs. This is your host, Tony Ciaglia, the serial killer whisperer. And this is my co-host, the Coxman. There he is in the flesh.
I'm going to be like Silent Bob, not saying.
I think everyone knows by now who the creep with the whiny voice is. Kenny Bianchi, a.k.a. Captain Kenneth Alicio Bianchi. I'm real sorry, but I'm really sorry, but you're gonna hear a lot from this rat weasel today. Maybe then you'll understand. Maybe what I went through for 7 years of my life. God, I'd like all that time back.
It's not that easy, is it?
No.
No.
No, it isn't.
No.
Wouldn't be so bad, but it's just the lies. One lie on top of another.
Yeah.
And he's on the other side of the phone, and he's thinking to himself, I got this kid. I got him. He believes me.
He's a believer.
Yeah. And that's sad. That's how he thinks about everybody that he spews these lies to. Even with the TBI, you guys, I could tell this guy was full of shit.
No doubt.
About everything.
Yeah.
If you remember last week, we talked about Kelli cheating on him. And I said, you would hear it from the man himself, Kenneth Bianchi.
And there she is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Everybody,
this is the picture that Francis, I believe, sent us.
just think everybody had a shot at that.
But everybody on YouTube would be looking at this right now. That's why I'm showing it. So if you're on YouTube,
Ding, ding, ding.
that's
YouTube.
Kelli.
That's Kelli. Everybody, they want to see. They want to put a face
Yeah, to the name.
to the name.
You told them they were going to hear it, and you just heard it.
You heard it.
So let's see. Ted let him in on two important things. A cop was listening. He had the room bugged and was listening to Ken talk to his attorney. Wow. So this cop got to listen to Ken lie because he was lying all the time. He lied to his attorney, lied to the cops, lied to anybody that would listen. So Ted discovered that the room was bugged. Big fucking deal, right? I mean, wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And the second thing,
Little Kelli. That's right. Little Kelli was fucking a guy. Ken called him an odious social worker. Oh, yes. But he was much more than that. He was sticking it to Ken's woman.
mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And his name is... Okay, stop. His name is Jack Johnson. No.
It could be. I mean, Johns are Jacks, right?
Uh-huh. His name is
John.
John Johnson.
It's even better.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And here's some advice, guys. Never let your wife or girlfriend anywhere near a guy who's got the last name Johnson. I mean, and this guy was working on the defense case, right? And nobody knows this, but he had a little side gig that he was doing. He had a plumbing business called John Johnson Lays Pipe. No joke.
Where do you come up with this?
Oh
my God.
He was nailing Kelli, and he did work for the defense team, but
Yeah.
he didn't have a plumbing
He
company.
didn't lay pipe.
Wouldn't it be great if he did have a plumbing company?
It would.
Yeah.
It would. If he's listening, he might get that idea.
What a guy Ted is. Yeah,
Prince. He's a prince.
he is.
Yeah.
We're talking about Ted.
Mm-hmm. Without evidence.
Yes, Ponticelli.
Yeah, the guy that was writing the book.
Yeah, and he put it in his book that Kelli was banging someone on the defense team. That's classic.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
How about the part Ken was talking about? He would give me phone numbers to call because, he's working my case. So sometimes, though, he would say, I'm going to be in town, but these nights you're not going to be able to call me. Well, he was banging Ken's wife. You heard Ken say it. He didn't know it then. He hadn't put it together, but Ted found that out. And so then he put it together that when this guy didn't give him the phone number, it's because it was his phone number.
Isn't that awesome?
He and Kelli were having a little wine, a little dinner, and
It just happened. He's doing it, not me.
they could see.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I should have stopped that, huh? I need to stop it.
You do. You're supposed to be like My mentor.
The adult here, right?
The adult.
But isn't that great? Talk about karma, man.
Uh-huh.
I love it. I just love it.
All the skullduggery that happened in his case, as he mentioned on the phone call with me, skullduggery. Isn't that great to have a serial killer and a rapist use the word skullduggery in his case?
Amazing. Just amazing.
Anyways, everyone's going to know when the book comes out, Tony. I know what happened, Ken. The book never got published. It never got published. It never made the shelves.
It never came out.
Exactly.
Without evidence, without the book.
You know why? Because they took a look at it and they're like, we're not going to publish this shit.
Exactly.
About lies and skullduggery. Sorry, everyone. I said you were going to hear a whole lot of Bianchi today.
Everything falls on Bellingham because Whatcom County, which is Bellingham,
Yes.
Whatcom County didn't have a public defender's office. It didn't exist.
Okay.
Everyone else. And what they had was they had a list of all the lawyers in the county, and they would just go down that list, and you got the next guy on that list and stuff. And the guy I had was a personal injury lawyer and stuff.
Okay.
And a litigator, personal injury litigator. And he was not a criminal law attorney and stuff. And so, and apparently his record that I didn't know about was that the few things he dealt with, he did some minor criminal law stuff off when he was on that list and stuff. And he pleaded those people out. You know, that was his whole thing, is to not piss off any politicians, not piss off the community, don't piss off the prosecutor, don't piss off the cops, because he lived there. And it's a long story. But anyways, this guy would come to me and he would gripe to me about the money he was losing in his practice, and he lost thousands and thousands of dollars and stuff by having to represent me, and on top of that, his pregnant wife went to the mailbox one day and found a dead snake in her box, and he was real freaked about that, and the fact that I would not admit that I did anything, and kept telling him I was innocent, and kept refusing to admit guilt, and turned down 2 plea offers, and just him and I were at war. I mean, him and I argued almost on a daily basis. He'd come to the jail and would be on,
Really, it was that struggling.
Yeah, we would be on, and what changed it was the freaking hypnosis. They gave me, what happened was, you know what discovery is?
I don't understand any of this. This, like, the hypnosis part.
When you're charged with a crime, when you're officially charged with a crime, the both sides, that is the defense counsel and the prosecution, exchange discovery under rules that are usually set up in the law and stuff. And what happened was, through discovery, he gave me all police files and access to all police photos, and all the files were in one box. That was the entire, everything the police knew, I knew by reading those files, and he put them in my cell and wanted me to read through all of them so I could. The idea is to assist in your defense. That's the whole purpose.
Okay.
And then when the LA thing happened, instead of giving me files on the 13 there, they only gave me files on the 10 there, and so I studied those. And meanwhile, I'm having these visits with them, and I'm telling them, this is BS, and you need to look into this, you need to look into that, and that's crap, and there's nothing there. No, there's nothing there, and and I'm having these daily battles with them. So he goes to a legal conference, and he bumps into this odious slime ball named John Johnson. He's a social worker, and John Johnson has a couple of ideas. And John Johnson was doing this bullshit thing called psychodrama. And
Okay.
John, do you know what psychodrama is?
I know I don't, but
Well, it's a horrible, really retarded thing where you go into a room with whoever's doing the psychodrama, and there's one chair in the room, and you take what he does is he will sit down, and then he plays whatever role he wants you to adopt and stuff, because the supposed theory behind that is that if you role play enough, that it'll break through repression or break through whatever they think you're having a problem breaking through with and stuff.
Kind of sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
Well, it was a bunch of bullshit. But anyways, I'm spending weeks and weeks and weeks reading, studying, absorbing all this crap and everything.
Uh-huh.
And then they turn around and get the bright idea to put me under sodium pentothal, the truth serum. And then suddenly one doctor steps in and says, well, no, you really can't do that because it's really dangerous and you can die and all this other stuff.
Okay.
Then I came up with the idea of regular hypnosis. And that's where it started. And then it just went downhill from there because they brought in John Johnson, this moron psychologist from Montana,
Okay.
who did the hypnosis, and on top of that, he turns out to be a zealous advocate of multiple personality disorder. So what this guy does through his questioning and everything, he creates all this stuff, and on top of that, he turns around and he goes after the very information that was in the report. Now the problem is that you can't tell the difference between whether I'm saying stuff from memory or I'm saying stuff from the reports. But they went the latter way,
Okay.
they went the former way rather and stuff,
Uh-huh.
That's what they wanted to do, and it just went all downhill from there. But before that, I was perfectly fine, and I had no memory of doing anything, and I told them I didn't do anything, and I turned down 2 plea agreements, and once the hypnosis and John Johnson got involved, it was all downhill from there. And then Watkins, right in the middle of everything, he did a post-hypnosis suggestion that I wouldn't remember anything until I was emotionally able to handle it. So I get done with the hypnosis sessions, and I don't have a clue what's going on. I just know that a bunch of time went by and everything, and they tell me everything's fine, I'm doing fine, and everything else and stuff. And all of a sudden, I read in the newspaper. What happened was not John Johnson, but John Watkins turned around and leaked everything to talk to a Time magazine reporter and stuff. And the Time magazine reporter's story went over all the wires, and everything I had been saying of the hypnosis was leaked. And it was just downhill from there.
Man.
Oh, it just goes on and on.
What a journey.
There's a lot of stuff you don't. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you don't know that a lot of stuff you and the world don't know.
So how did you like that? It's a good thing you apologized, because that was, he drones. We just wanted you to hear it. That was only, I think, 5 or 6 minutes, 20 minutes. You used to listen to that shit for 20 minutes at a time.
And then
I don't know how you did it.
Tony?
I just don't
know. Tony, you want me to call back?
Oh, no, please don't, Ken.
I gotta go do something, anything.
Right. God. All right, guys. So remember, this is a trial. So that was an important call because, we're giving Kenny his day in court, right?
Yes.
That's what we're doing right now. So let me explain. I have to explain that call. So everything falls on Bellingham, Washington. Right? According to Bianchi. He winds up with a personal injury attorney instead of a criminal defense attorney because he was next up in line. And you heard him whining about that. I think it's pretty hysterical myself.
I do too.
And boy, did he bitch. That wasn't the only time he bitched about that.
He got what he had coming to him.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. So this guy, he found out, has a reputation. He doesn't like to make waves. He doesn't like to ruffle feathers. He doesn't like to do a fucking thing, is basically what it is. He just wants to collect the money from the government to defend this piece of garbage, Bianchi, and that's it. So he's telling Bianchi, we know you're guilty. Let's make a deal. Let's do something. We know you're guilty. And Ken said the battles would start every day. Every day. The lawyer would want Bianchi to admit it. But no, Tony. No. Somebody even put a dead snake in this guy's mailbox, and his wife found it. And I guess she just flipped out because the people were pissed. They hate Bianchi, and this guy's defending him, Mr. Personal Injury Lawyer. Now, Ken is explaining discovery to Tony.
It's called Discovery, you dickhead. What movie?
Very good. My Cousin Vinny, right? What a great movie that was.
What a great movie. Was she hot in that movie?
Yeah, and she won the award for that.
Yeah, well deserved.
That was good.
Thank you.
So anyway, he's explaining discovery. Now, his lawyer, he says, gave him all the files for the case, which is highly suspect. Now, the murders of Karen Mandek and Diane Wilder happened in Bellingham. And the California murders hadn't even come up until a little later. So why would a Washington attorney give Ken all the Hillside Strangler files? He wouldn't even have access to them. It's a California case. Now, when the hypnosis got going and Ken, of course, was shooting his mouth off, I still don't think that lawyer would have given him, and it didn't matter because he was already talking in the hypnosis, claiming that he read all this in the files. Bullshit. He wouldn't have had those files.
The only information.
He did, they wouldn't have had all that information that he was talking about.
The only information that they would have had would have been from California newspapers.
Yeah. And I think he whined about that later. And no, Ken, no. We heard you on the tape. Slip it in. They only gave me 10 cases, not the 13 cases that were Hillside Strangler cases. No, there was 10. You know there was 10 because you did them, you and your buddy Angelo. There wasn't 13. And the reason he put that in there, he's going to come back to it. So he and Ted, and they're the only people that believe this, say that Bill Suff is the real Hillside Strangler. Now, Tony knows Bill Suff better than either of those two guys, right?
Right.
You knew him. You used to talk to him on the phone.
Another winner.
Oh, my God. Terrible.
Terrible.
So we'll cover that later. You'll hear Ken actually talking, presenting his case on why Bill Suff is the Hillside Strangler. It's all bullshit. We're not going to get into it now. When we can play Ken talking about it, we'll talk about it. So now his lawyer bumps into John Johnson. Yes, John, you're up. He bumps into John Johnson at a conference. Come on. This is the same guy that's supposedly banging Kelli, and he happens to be into psychodrama and multiple personality disorders, MPDs. I liked it shorter because it's a tongue twister, you know? Johnson would like that.
He would.
Tongue twister. So anyway, he bumped into this guy. This guy just happens to be into psychodrama and hypnosis and MTDs, okay? You can tell that Ken wants us to believe that Johnson did all this with the MPDs in order to make Ken incriminate himself, but he didn't. That's all bullshit. Bianchi really thought he could fool everybody, and he thought, why not? He had read books. He read whatever it was, Sybil. Two Faces of Eve. You know, he studied this, and he's not a dumb guy. So he knew exactly what he was doing. So in a nutshell, Ken, once again, wants you to believe, or us to believe, that under hypnosis, he talked about what he read in the reports and files that he was given. It's impossible. Did your head blow up yet? I want to know, guys out there. Did your head blow up? Because mine's blowing up listening to this asshole.
Mother!
Oh. All right. I want to thank Frontline for some of the short tape recordings of Bianchi. The ones you're hearing with Tony, those are ours. Frontline, we wanted to get some of the hypnosis in. So thank you to Frontline for allowing us to do that. These are short tape recordings of Bianchi and other people that were asking him questions or discussing it. So the tape isn't real good, so you got to listen very closely to Ken. Listen to him, because he is talking his ass off.
Hey. Right into the coffin.
Yes, he is.
Right into the jail cell.
Yeah, sounds like David Gore.
Yeah. Guess what? Hi. Hi. Are you Ken? Do I look like Ken? Well, no. Do you know who I am? Sure, I know you are. Okay. You're disturbed with me. So what? Okay. We just understand each other. Okay. I don't like you. I don't like you at all. Well, why don't you like me, Ken? It isn't Ken, is it? No, it's not. It's Steve.
The other personality made a momentous confession. He admitted that he was the Hillside Strangler. Later interviews, Steve, Ken's other personality, went on to say he and his cousin Angelo committed the murders together.
Hey, man, it doesn't bother me any. I told you, killing a broad doesn't make any difference to me. Killing any fucking buddy doesn't make any difference. Maybe you didn't kill any of those. I don't know. Oh, hey, no, wrong, man. Hey, I killed a couple of these. Well, which one? You think you did, right? I killed her. Angelo killed her.
You mean the actor when Angelo killed?
This broad I'd never seen before.
Martin.
This broad I'd never seen before.
Hunchback, you never saw them at all?
No.
Huh?
This broad I'd never seen before.
Robinson?
This broad I killed. These two Angelo killed.
Hector? Johnson?
This one I'd never seen
is
before.
what Angelo killed, huh? Now,
This one I'd never seen before. This broad I killed.
Barcombe you never seen before. This captain is the broad you killed, you say?
Am I going too fast?
Yeah, you're going so damn fast. I'm not that smart. Okay. I'm not bright as you are, so let's...
Since I enjoy your taste here and your interest, and I'm really, very pleased that you take an interest in this, I'm going to do you a favor. I borrow your script here, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll do you a favor.
Okay.
So that you don't get lost along the way.
Okay, all right.
It's real easy.
Yeah.
What you understand is, this one I killed. These two I don't know about. This one I don't know about. This one I killed. This was the first one I killed.
Yeah.
This one. Remember that cunt. Does she have worn her hair differently or something?
I don't know. Fucking hell, how would I know?
Angelo will be a cross, okay? I'll make it nice and easy for you. He's my kind of man.
Okay.
There should be more people in the world like Angelo.
All right, the ones that Angelo's across, and which ones are you then?
I'm the X's.
Oh, you're the X's.
Yeah, you want me to write that down for you so you can remember?
I'm very impressed. I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, that whole thing you did there, it wasn't rant level. And we all love to see the Coxman rant. but you got almost there. You were 3/4 of the way.
Yeah.
Definitely 3/4 of the way. And that right there was the Hillside fucking Strangler, Ken Bianchi. All right? That wasn't some talking MPD, multiple personality disorder, named Steve. False. He knew who those fucking girls were. Yes, he knew every single one of them. And trust me, he knew exactly who Angelo killed and who Ken killed.
And on YouTube, if you were looking, you'll see Steve. You'll see Ken under hypnosis, a picture of him. And then you'll see Steve, Killer Steve, serious. Am I going too fast for you? I don't like you very much. No, I don't like you at all. Here, let me put an X and a cross here so you can understand. I mean, you heard him. And that was great.
Thank you.
They're right. I mean, you're right. That was the Hillside Strangler talking. That wasn't Steve.
No.
That was Ken Bianchi. And thank God, Tony, for that Dr. Martin Orn, because this clown was fooling people. The detectives were all pissed because these doctors were believing this asshole. And the detectives, they're up in arms. They know. They visited the scenes. They know what the evidence is.
And the doctor could swim through all the Kenny bullshit.
Yeah. So this guy, they brought him in, Dr. Martin Orn. He's an expert in hypnosis. And when he looked at the tapes, he knew it was a ruse. He even said that. He set a trap for Captain Bianchi, and he caught him. And at that point, Ken was done with the MPDs. Thank you, Dr. Martin Orn.
I still got to admit, I mean, I've seen so many criminal videos, interrogations, everything. I've met so many of these clowns in person and had relationships with them. But that, Kenneth Bianchi doing that whole multiple personality thing, that was classic. That was classic.
He should have been in Hollywood.
I know. He could have been a good actor.
Yeah. It'd fit right in, too.
Exactly. Why? Because they're all...
Well, let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
So later on, he claims, and just like Tony said, he claims it was all made up because of the things he read in the newspaper. Yeah, like they put that stuff that he was saying in the newspaper. Or they were from the reports that his Washington lawyer gave him on California murders. Bullshit, Ken. Bullshit. Bullshit. Discovery my ass.
I want to go back to that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ted Bundy, right? The king of serial killers.
Yeah.
Not even old Ted, who was full of a lot of bullshit. Not even Ken was able to use trickery like that.
That's true.
Yeah. How'd you like at the end when Mr. Bianchi said, he's my kind of man. There should be more people in the world like Angelo.
How do you like that?
It's like a bad dream.
I thought I was hearing things when he said that.
It's like a bad dream.
Yeah.
If more people out there were like Angelo. Well, too bad there are more people out there like that, right?
But that was Steve. It wasn't Ken.
No. Gosh.
All right, Tony. We haven't really covered, speaking of Angelo, because we haven't covered him yet. So maybe you could enlighten our listeners. Okay? Could you do that?
I will.
Give them a little information on Angelo.
Let's show the world why Ken thought there should be more people in the world like Angelo. This is real human fucking garbage. Okay? So, I'm just preparing you. You're not going to believe what I'm about to share with you. Angelo Buono Jr. was born in New York State in 1934. After the divorce of his parents, he moves with his mother and sisters to Glendale, California. I'm sorry, California. As opposed to his cousin, Kenny, Angelo lacked good looks, brains, and manners. Buono was a monster in the making, both physically and psychologically. He was already predisposed to an intense hatred and total disrespect for women. Already bragging to having raped and sodomized several girls, Buono did not see sex as an act of love between two people. He saw sex as an act of dominance and aggression. In addition to developing a view of women as sexual objects, he also verbally abused his own mother, often calling her a bitch and a whore. Could you see Mom if I called her a bitch and a whore?
No. You wouldn't be sitting here.
It might be the last time I say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
While still in his teens, Buono fathered a child. He married the young girl, but left her soon thereafter, refusing to help her take care of the baby. Real prince.
Oh.
He later had a child with another woman whom he married. This time, Buono remained with his wife. Fathering not one, not two, not three, but 5 more children. In addition to using his wife to reproduce, Buono would often use her for violent sex, which included bondage, sodomy, and rape. Why do we have to use the word sodomy? It's such an ugly word.
It is.
I mean, any way you look at ass fucking, it's not a pretty thing. Say you're at work and you're on your lunch break and you're feeling a bit frisky. You call your wife up, and I know one thing you don't say to her. Honey, I'm going to come home and sodomize you. Sodomy is just a word you can't make sound hot. I think personally it should be taken out of the English dictionary.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. So she eventually grew tired of being used and abused and divorced Buono, who then in true deadbeat dad fashion neglected to pay alimony and child support. Okay, so now he's got 6 kids out there and he's not paying alimony or child support for any of them.
Piece of shit.
You know why? Because he's Angelo Buono.
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
I'm the reptile, man. Oh.
Later, the urge to procreate took over once more, and Buono used his latest sweetheart as an incubator.
I like that. That just kind of says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah. What kind of person he is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not us, you guys.
No.
This was an article we got this out of.
Several.
Mm-hmm.
They knew about this guy. A lot of people.
Huh?
Hey. Oh, boy. Hey. Okay. Back to this guy.
An incubator. How romantic. The woman who already had 2 children would now give birth to 2 more sons. All right, I lost my thought. Where are we now in the count?
8.
He's got 8 kids now.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Man. In addition to her duties as a mother, Angelo's new wife became his new sex toy, being submitted to the same violence and abuse as his previous lover. It was only after she realized Angelo was raping her teenage daughter that she had enough courage to leave her captor. That takes the cake right there.
Doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. But Buono did not care. Oh, no, he didn't. After all, he could always find himself a wife to beat up, sodomize, and degrade. He married an Oriental woman, but didn't care enough about her to have her move in with him or bear his children. All right,
Think of that.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, honey,
Think of that.
listen, baby, we're going to get married, all right? We're going to get married. But you're going to stay about 10 miles down in the city, all right? I'll get you a nice apartment. Huh? And listen, you're not quite Buono status. Hold on. You're not quite Buono status. So I'm not going to put my seed in you. We're not going to reproduce. I can just hear them.
Oh, no, you're right.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't even going to say anything. I'm just like, when you led this off and you said, you're not going to believe it, I have read this a few times. And then hearing it, I still don't fucking believe it. And you want to hear something that's really scary? The doctors, all of the psychologists and psychiatrists, these are very bright people when it comes to the mind. All of them said the same thing. Angelo is a really, really rotten person. I mean, he rapes, he sodomizes, he beats them, he reproduces with them, doesn't take care of the kids. I mean, terrible things. Terrible man. But he would have never killed if it wasn't for Kenneth Alessio Bianchi.
Come on, Dad. The guy's a fucking captain. Show him respect.
I'm sorry, Captain Bianchi.
Salute him, damn it.
He wouldn't have killed without that guy. What does that say about Kenny? What a piece of shit, huh? I mean, think of what was going on in that head.
You know what, though? Kenny was the smiles, the intelligence, and I'm sure he lured the women.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question about
I mean,
it.
you look at Buono. I mean, he's ugly. He's mean looking.
Yeah. Hey, last week you posed a question. You were wondering if the kill house was still standing.
Yeah.
And we showed some pictures on YouTube. It is. It is still standing. It's there.
I don't understand that.
I don't either.
I mean, look what they did to Dahmer's house. They tore the whole apartment building down.
Yeah.
You know, Gacy, they tore his house down.
Yeah. Well, you asked Bianchi some questions in a letter, and he answered them, but they were in true lying Bianchi fashion. This is part of a letter, and we brought this because a few people have written in and said, did you guys really get a lot of letters from Bianchi? They asked Tony this, and this here is just
tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah, and you know what's really tough about Bianchi is right in the beginning he wrote real short letters, but then as the bullshit got deeper, then they'd be like 3, 4, 5 pages.
Because he had to explain the bullshit.
Yeah, and they say nothing except lies. So you got to go through and you got to find areas that are interesting and areas that he's bullshitting, and put the story together. But, for those of you that didn't think we really got letters, like, this is a legal brief that he wrote. Look at that, Tom. He shared it with you, a legal brief.
Gosh.
But anyway, Angelo and I did not get along most of the time. And I really don't know much about him. And he was somewhat of an outsider in the family. Really, Kenny? When I lived at his residence, his son Anthony also lived there. I spent most of my social time with Anthony and his friends. Bullshit. You see, after Ken was arrested, and then the Hillside Stranglings came into play, Kelli was visited in Bellingham by the detectives that asked her, who did Ken hang around with? Do you know any good friends? Did he play sports, maybe softball? Who did he maybe go shoot pool with in a bar, go out drinking? Kelli said, no. Kenny didn't do any of those things. If he was out, he was with Angelo. And the police said, are you sure? Nobody else? She was very adamant about it. She said, when Kenny wasn't here with me, he was with Angelo.
And why? Why would he hang out with anybody else? Didn't he say? More people in this world should be like Angelo.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to the letter. This is Ken. I got a job and apartment, moved out, and soon after Anthony got into a bad argument with Angelo and moved out, he told me that Angelo had changed the locks on him. It's a sweetheart, right?
That's his father.
Yeah, I know. I know it. Angelo and I got into a heated argument the summer of 1977 in the shop. Remember that date? He pulled a gun, and I didn't see him again until later that year when my mom called me to say Angelo's mom was in the hospital with cancer. I stopped briefly at the hospital to pay my respects, and then didn't see Angelo again until, wait for it, January 1978. And that was at her funeral to pay my respects. Those are the facts, Tony.
The Kenny facts.
No, these are the facts. Those are the Bianchi facts, better known as bullshit. Notice how he changes the year. Angelo did pull a gun on him, but it was in February of 1978, right after their 10th victim was murdered, Cindy Hudspeth, who they got at Angelo's trim shop.
Okay, I got to say something. Let me say something. Okay. Angelo's trim shop. Is that not classic?
Yeah.
This guy's a fucking, he's a serial killer. He's a serial rapist.
Yeah.
And it's even in the title of his shop. Trim.
It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was 1978, February, not January. It was February. And that's when he told Kenny, get the fuck out of town. If I see you again, I'm going to blow your fucking head off. Basically, right?
Yeah. Verbatim.
And the 1977, that's when they were doing their killings. That's when they went into November Nightmare and they killed 6 girls in 1 month. So between November and February of 78, they killed 10 women. And he didn't know much about them, and he didn't really see them that much. And no, Bianchi lies or facts.
Always distancing himself as far away possible.
Always.
From the crimes.
Yeah. Okay, back to the letter. Here are some more facts, Tony, that everyone ignores. During the time period of most of the murders in L.A., Angelo was married to an Oriental woman. And this is in the letters here if anybody ever wanted to, go through them. It's right in the letter. Angelo was married to an Oriental woman who lived at his place at 703 East Colorado. Now, you just heard Tony when he was reporting on Angelo. He said he married an Oriental woman but didn't care enough about her to have her move in with him or bear his children. There goes another bunch of shit out the window. Right?
Yes.
All right, back to the letter. During the time period of all the murders in L.A., Angelo had no car of his own. During the time of 2 of the murders, I had no vehicle either. My Cadillac had been repossessed, and Kelli and I separated. I got around on foot and bus. So alleging the state claims hypothetically suggesting we were involved, how would we have picked up anyone without a vehicle?
Kelli was using him for his car.
Okay. How would we have picked up anyone without a vehicle? And I'm really glad you asked, Kenny. It's very simple. Angelo had cars that he was working on at the shop. That's what he did. He worked on cars.
Yeah.
Cars that he could use. And he did. He did use them. Back to the letter. Angelo took cabs to other places, but his neighborhood was his home. I never mentioned Angelo until I was asked leading questions under hypnosis, prompted by my Washington lawyer. If not for the hypnosis, there was no reason for me to mention Angelo, and that never would have happened. Does that answer the questions that you had? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, Kenny, because if you were so fucking innocent, we've already talked about this a few times, why didn't you go to court in Washington? If you were so innocent, why didn't you go to court? If you had nothing to hide, go to court, get acquitted, and go on with your life. Because you are a lying piece of shit murderer. Tony, why don't you tell the story about Veronica Compton?
Oh, my gosh.
Probably the dumbest person that's ever lived.
What you're about to hear is so stupid that it was all fake, right? It was all fake. You would think it was fake, but it's true.
It was true.
It was true.
You definitely would think it was fake.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this shit.
While incarcerated, Kenneth Bianchi was approached by a writer named Veronica Lynn Compton. She said that getting inside Bianchi's mind would help her with her work. I'll help her get back with her work. She can explore my mind. It wasn't long before she fell in love with Bianchi, who in turn saw a great opportunity to try and have the charges against him dismissed. The plan was simple. He asked Veronica to help him prove his innocence by strangling a girl and making it look like the previous victims. That alone right there is worth the price of admission. The idea was that if another murder with the Hillside Strangler MO occurred while he was in jail, the police would realize they had arrested the wrong man.
Kenny's innocent.
Kenny's innocent. Guys, we got to let him out.
Just open the cell door.
Yep. Let him out. September 1980, Veronica Compton flies to Bellingham, where, under the influence of drugs and alcohol, she tries to bring a woman back to her hotel room where she attempts to strangle her. Fortunately, the would-be victim fights back and then escapes. After failing to commit the murder, Compton heads back to California. Upon her arrival, now this is fucking incredible. She sends a letter to the Bellingham police telling them they have arrested the wrong man in connection with the Hillside Strangler murders. In the letter, she even refers to the latest strangling attempt, not thinking for a moment that the woman who survived could identify her.
She might be the dumbest person alive.
Ruthless,
Perhaps we should kill her.
ruthless people.
You had it before I even finished the line.
I did. I had it
Good
on
job.
the first line.
Good job. Great movie.
Mm-hmm.
But is she not stupid? Oh, my. I mean,
Moron.
there's even more about her.
Oh, yeah. We're not done.
No.
We are not done. On October 3rd, 1980, Veronica Compton is arrested and eventually is sent to prison for attempted murder. She was finally released in 2003. All of this, you guys, all of this for fucking Kenneth Bianchi, a twerp, a human twerp, parasite, scumbag.
23 years she did.
She did 23.
She did more than Angelo because he died.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Is that
It
not
is.
incredible?
It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. This bitch did 23 years, you guys, for this asshole, Kenneth Bianchi. I still would have fucked her. I'm serious.
That's good. That's
Uh-huh.
fine.
She's stupid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she's as dumb as the camera. But smoking hot. I would have helped her, mentored her.
No.
She helped her with her
I
book.
forgot you were a mentor.
Yeah, helped her with her fucking book,
Yeah, her plays.
her work.
Yeah.
Her work.
You weren't sick enough to help her. This is a letter dated February 6, 2013. And as Tony said, he had asked Bianchi some questions. This, if you guys heard that date, February 6, 2013, was nearing the end of your relationship with this asshole. Thank God, right?
Good.
Thank God. Okay, here's what Ken writes. Compton was a wife and a mother of one. She pulled tricks out of the Polo Club at the Beverly Hills Hotel.
See, my kind of girl. She's pulling tricks.
Yes, she was.
Just trying to better herself. That's it. Just trying to better herself.
She was hot to look at,
Fuck yeah.
but she was a fugu fish. Say, here's Ken. Ken, the smartest man in the room. My.
You need to tell him what a fugu fish is.
A fugu fish is a Japanese blowfish. It's more deadly than cyanide. She freebased cocaine with tricks at motels throughout Los Angeles. She wrote some scripts for plays. When they arrested her, they found multiple knives in every room of her residence. At her trial in Bellingham, Washington, under oath, she honestly testified that I knew nothing about what she did. She just did it on her own, Ken.
Not my Veronica.
After her conviction, discovering that she could garner sympathy and get on camera, she changed her story. Her post-conviction lies in the Buono trial on national TV caused me a ton of drama, and it pissed off some people who were just starting to trust me. After a thorough investigation by 2 police agencies, they found no evidence to connect me to her crazy actions in Bellingham. So she just did this on her own to get you off. Even though she talked to you, even though she visited you, this plan never came up. Okay, Ken. God, he just keeps shoveling it.
Shoveling it. The con of con.
Yeah.
He's the con artist of cons.
Okay. Back to the letter. I had only a few monitored visits with her before her arrest, where she was high during several of them. She'd have to be high to talk to you. All visits with her in jail were not only monitored, but also no contact behind glass. She's a whack job.
Well,
she's a whack job.
Hold on. Him calling her a whack job. Now tell me, is that not the pot calling the kettle black?
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly is. I heard there was naked or semi-naked photos of her as Compton or Compton Wallace on the internet. Don't know if it's true.
Is that where we got those pictures?
We got them from Doug.
Doug Clark.
Yeah, so if you see the pictures. And then he says, sorry, the grainy photo of Compton I had years ago, I tore up and I flushed down the toilet. Well, we just happen to have that grainy photo because it seems like she shared it with Doug Clark.
Doug Clark.
This is on YouTube, and you can actually see Doug's writing wasn't too good back then, but...
No, Dad, shut up. Shut up, Dad. It was never good. He never had good handwriting.
I know.
Boy, though, he was
something.
He was something, man.
He said, she looks beat down in these photos. But in 1982, at the government building attorney room, she was very eager and willing. I loved her sense of adventure. Douglas Clark. But Ken thought he flushed the only one down the toilet.
Because he's so special.
All over, right?
He's so special.
But not signed by Doug Clark. So we thought this was pretty interesting.
Hey.
Yeah.
Just like Kelli. She's all over.
Oh, jeez. And then he finished the letter with, she is now married to a Jake Wallace, a retired university professor, and they have a daughter. Now, this guy must have been a real gem.
Yeah, a real winner.
He divorced his wife for her. He was 20 years older than her.
Yeah.
And
she obviously married him for money, maybe? I hate to say that, but...
Well, you know what? We didn't cover this, but I'll cover it real quick. She did 23 years because she was a fucking idiot, man. First, she escaped. She left the prison. They caught her a week and a half later. Okay, more time was put on. Then she got out and she was married to this guy. They had a kid. She stopped seeing her parole officer. And child services came to visit her. She answered the door naked. And she had pornographic pictures hanging in the house where the kid was being raised. Back in the jail to finish her sentence. That's why she did 23 years. I mean, this
I
is
disagree.
A true moron.
True fucking moron, but I disagree.
What?
Come on, what's wrong with some nude pictures of yourself hanging up on the fucking walls of your crib? You know?
Who said they were of her? They were of Jeffrey Epstein.
She did a lot of stupid things.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know about fucking marrying her. Be good for a one-night stand. Right?
Stop.
Doug hit it.
She was nuts.
Do you think Doug hit that?
She probably would have cut your head off, and just...
She was nuts.
Laid with you. Yeah, she was crazy.
Hold on, though. Did Doug hit that or not?
He said he did.
Yeah.
Ken didn't want to believe that.
No, he didn't, because that was his girl.
Ken
that was
made a
his
big
fucking
deal
girl.
out of it because he said there was nowhere in the men's prison that he could have done it. He didn't say he did it in the men's prison. He did it in the courthouse. They were both there waiting on trial, and they were in a witness room together, and that's what he said. I don't know if it's true or not.
I don't think Doug would lie to us.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Okay.
He was interested in what I was doing with myself, and he was honest with me, concerned, and very convincing, even in his writing. I believed anything he said to me, and he told me he was innocent. He once said that he wished it would be like a Perry Mason movie, where in the end someone would stand up and say they were with him in the night of questioning. And in the meantime, after he got arrested, I received some letters. Like on February 2nd, it says, if I can't account for the time between 8:10 and 9:50, I'm probably going to die in the gas chamber because of what someone else did. If only I had come over to see you, I would have had an alibi that would save my life. On February 8th, it says, I wish there was someone who was with me that January 11th night from around 8 to almost 10 p.m., someone who can give a statement to that effect and swear to it. On February 25th, Dean came in this morning and said that if you don't come forward before February 28th, you can never come forward in my behalf. I told him you feared for your life. He said, without your testimony, I was sunk.
What did you make of this?
I read between the lines, and I decided that he wanted me to write an alibi for him, which I did. And I sent it to him in jail.
What was going through your mind?
Well, at first I thought, how could this person do anything wrong? I figured if he could get out of jail, he could prove himself. But I wrote to him saying where we were, what I was wearing, and all these things. And after I sent it to him, a couple days later, I decided, I can't do this. This is all wrong. So I decided to tell him, just get rid of him. Then a couple days later, his lawyer called me and asked to have a talk with me. So I went and spoke to him, and he said that if I went along with it, I would be an accessory to the fact. I already told him, though, that I told Ken to get rid of the letter.
How did Ken take it?
The last time I got to see him was to tell him that I decided not to do it. And he said, whatever you feel is best.
Again, and she has this fantasy love affair going with me, even though there's never been anything between us. It has something that has grown and grown. I mean, to read some. I don't have all the letters. I've destroyed a lot of them because they're just. But I mean, it's just grown into such a fantastic one-sided love affair. She's just madly in love. She signs her letters now. I love you very much.
Angie was only one. There were 12 other alibis. Psychopaths never quit. For example, he had asked his mother to type an alibi letter for him with rubber gloves on so there'd be no fingerprints on it, and would she fly to Seattle, Washington still with rubber gloves and mail it so that would establish an alibi. He also tried to blame the murders up in Washington on Greg, a dead motorcyclist whom he knew was dead. He also tried to get a copycat killer, namely a woman that he induced to go and attempt to duplicate the murders to be an alibi for him. He convinced another woman to confess for him. The psychopaths just don't stop. They don't give up. They continue the same style.
Is he sane?
Yes, he's sane. He knew the difference between right and wrong. He was able to form the intent for the murders, and they were highly planned and organized murders both before and afterwards. He is sane in the eyes of the law. The general public may think that this is crazy behavior. It is outrageous behavior, but in the eyes of the law, it is sane.
So, that girl that you just heard talking, her name was Angie. She was a 21-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And he Bianchi, Mr. never did anything wrong. Just can't understand why he's in jail. He convinced this girl to write an alibi for him. He actually convinced her. She did it. She wrote the alibi and she sent it to him in the jail. And then she smartened up. Thank God she smartened up.
Mm-hmm.
And she realized, I can't do this. I can't go through with it. But she really believed that there's no way that Ken could have murdered those two girls. And he convinced her to write it. And when she realized that she was going to be an accessory after the fact,
mm-hmm.
she told him, no, throw it away. And then his lawyer actually came to her and talked to her, but she had already told Bianchi, no, I'm not going to do it. But that's not all, man.
No.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Oh, I was going to say, she changed her mind.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. And then you heard Ken on the phone once again. Oh, this was all her, just like with Compton. This was a one-sided love affair. This girl, she still loves me. She signs her letters. I threw a lot of them away because I didn't want them, but she signs them. I love you more now than I ever did. I'll always love you, Ken. You heard him. You heard the weasel on the tape talking about her. And it just disgusted me.
You know what about Ken, though? I mean, let's go all the way back to just getting out of high school, Ken. He never had problems tapping ass.
Oh, no.
Never.
No.
He never had problems getting girls.
No.
But
they were never. Go ahead.
Then they got to know him a little bit and they started to see through his persona.
And if you remember, they were never good enough for him because of
his standards.
And Mom.
Oh my gosh.
Mom, she gave him
Mother!
She gave him a lot of shit.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, and they already heard that story, but just to remind them, you're absolutely right. He never had a problem. He always had a girlfriend. And his mom used to say that, remember?
Yeah.
I can't figure it out. Kenny always had girls. Didn't keep them, though, did he?
No.
All right. So.
All right. The fantasy love affair.
Yeah, I know. He's there with his, it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. And then the doctor comes out. He had 12 alibis working. 12. With this poor girl, Angie, who really believed him. His mother.
This is awesome.
He even tried, you heard it on there. He even tried to get his mother to write him write a letter, keep rubber gloves on so there's no fingerprints, fly to Seattle with the letter, with the rubber gloves, and mail it so there's no fingerprints, and it'll give me an alibi, Mom. Please, Mom, please.
And
or I'm going to die in the gas chamber for something I didn't do.
And then he tried to blame it on a dead motorcyclist named Greg.
Oh, yeah, I love that. How do you like that?
That's awesome. It's
awesome.
awesome.
He knew the guy was dead.
Uh-huh. And then Veronica Compton. Hey, Kenny. That's my girl. That's not your girl. She's mine. Oh, my gosh.
And he actually convinced another woman to he convinced her to confess, and she did. It's just, it's unbelievable.
You know why?
Why, Tom?
Because a psychopath never quits. And that psychopath is Captain Kenneth Bianchi. All right. Let's wrap it.
All right.
This was good.
I think so.
I enjoyed talking to you.
And I got you.
You did. You got me. You got me. You guys, as always, take care, stay safe, and always remember, walk in the calm after the storm.